The origins of collard greens mainly dates back to slavery. That is one of the main reasons why this is a cultural staple and such a common dish, especially for families like mine that are black families and trace their roots back to slavery. Collard greens is a hearty vegetable, one of the healthiest, very nutrient rich, and often not the tastiest if not prepared correctly. However, this recipe transforms them into something that is much more delectable. Since this originates from slavery, I'd like to discuss what slaves were originally given to eat. Collard greens was not actually something that they were given to eat. It was often foraged or grown by themselves on separate areas of the plantation. However, slaves would be given an allocation of meat, normally pork, and often the entrails or the less desirable parts of the meat. And it was often between 2 to 5 pounds of pork per week. However, many slaves still starved. So what you see me doing in this first clip here is just after washing the collard greens, I'm taking out the stems that are extra fibrous and not the most desirable to eat, preserving only the green leaves, as I will steam these down later and prepare bacon alongside it. From here, I cut the collard greens into smaller portions that are easier to mix when cooking and will help them be easier to eat after I've finished. And since we have a little bit of extra time while I do this, I'd like to add a clip of what I trace my roots back for collard greens, because I've been eating it basically since I was a baby, and my grandma has distinct memories of me doing so.
Yeah, I fixed greens a lot. There was a time there I couldn't find collard greens in the stores here, and I was growing kale. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the same recipe, it's just a different green. And I remember as a kid, you were sitting in a high chair in the kitchen, and I would be cleaning the greens, and I'd give you a leaf that was wet and clean, and you would wave it around and slap it, and then I'm sure you ate some when they were done. You were less than a year old, still in diapers, sitting in a high chair.
Since the origin of this recipe originates from slavery, it starts in the South and moves northern before moving western. It starts with slaves moving to the North after the Emancipation Proclamation and the Civil War, expanding all the way up to New York and showing these new recipes to white people that had never tried them before. Just to make sure you're following as I'm cooking, to the right I am currently frying the bacon, and to the left I am smashing some garlic that I will add and fry in the bacon fat. As white people began to influence the Southern culture that these previous black slaves had brought, the recipes began to change, tailored to these white palates. Ham hocks that was previously commonly found in these collard greens was replaced with bacon, while pork chops was replaced with fried chicken and spare ribs replaced neck bones. Originally, my grandma ate this recipe with ham hocks. However, I make mine with bacon, as you can see me doing here. And what I'm currently doing right now is I pour out the bacon fat. I keep mine in a container to save it for later, just because I don't like to be wasteful. But now you can see me adding the collard greens and steaming it with a little bit of water. From here, the rest of the recipe goes relatively quickly, as we're just waiting for the collard greens to cook down, steam for about like 10 to 15 minutes. I chop up the garlic I had peeled earlier, and I fry that up with the bacon before adding it into the cooked collard greens with a little bit of some type of vinegar and olive oil. This is it finished. Yum!